Good morning, students. Let us do the Dying Detective. Today we are going to complete the lesson. We are doing the last part of Dying Detective, wherein he is asking to turn up the gas. Is there any other service I can do? This is what Smith is asking him. Fine. Smith is asking Holmes. So a match to light a candle. So on this, Holmes says a match. He says that he needs a match to light a candle. I nearly called out in my joy and excitement. Holmes was speaking in his natural voice. There was a long pause, and I felt that Culverton Smith was standing in silent amazement, looking down at my companion. So, all this while we had seen that Holmes was sick and he was unable to speak properly, isn't it? So, how was he speaking? He was speaking like a sick person, okay, like a dying person. Holmes was speaking. That is why after over here when he says a match to light a candle, that was his normal voice. A match to light a candle, when he said, it turned out to his normal voice, Holmes's. So hearing this, Dr. Watson was very excited. Dr. Watson was happy because he understood, he realized at that moment that Holmes came back to life, that Holmes has improved by now, right? So with that, he was very excited. That is Dr. Watson. I nearly called out in my joy and excitement. Holmes was speaking in his natural voice. There was a long pause. And after this, there was a long silence. Okay. Nobody spoke. So maybe Dr. Watson was wondering what was happening. He couldn't see, isn't it, what was exactly happening over there. And I felt like Culverton Smith was standing in silent amazement. So in this, who felt this? So at this point, Dr. Watson felt that Culverton Smith was standing in silence, right? He was standing silently over there and looking down at Holmes. Okay, with amazement, he was looking at Holmes. This is what he felt. Who? Dr. Watson. What is the meaning of this? He said at last in a dry, harsh tone. So Culverton Smith said afterwards, after a long silence, Culverton Smith, what is the meaning of this? All of a sudden, the voice is changing to the natural voice, isn't it? Normal voice. All this while, Culverton Smith also was feeling that the man was dying, Holmes was dying. So that is why he's asking, what is the meaning of all of this? He said, in a dry, harsh tone. The best way of successful acting a part is to be it, said Holmes. I give you my word that for 3 days I have tasted neither food nor drink. Hello, do I hear the step of a friend? So this is what he said. So when he asked, what do you mean by this? What is it? So there is a change in the voice. So on this, he was shocked. What is all these things? This is what he asked Culverton Smith. So on this, Holmes declared that this is the way of successful acting, and I have done my job well. Holmes is declaring these things to Culverton Smith. This is what he says. I give you my word that for 3 days I have tasted, and I'm telling you that I have for 3 days, past 3 days, I didn't eat anything, neither food nor did I drink anything. Okay, so this is what he told Culverton Smith. Hello, do I hear the step of a friend? And then he's saying, so I could hear the step of a friend. Hello, I could hear. So am I hearing the step of a friend? He says. There were footsteps outside the door opened and Inspector Morton appeared. Okay, so that hello, when he said this, there was some footstep outside, right? And who was there outside? Inspector Morton was there. He was just waiting to have an entry inside the room. So the moment he said this, Holmes said this, Inspector Morton entered inside. So what was the signal used over there? That we'll see. So all is in order and this is your man, said Holmes. So Holmes told Morton, okay, Inspector Morton, say everything is fine over here and this is the man. Okay, this is the person, this is the culprit, he pointed out. Okay, this is the convict. This is what he told Inspector Morton. Whom Culverton Smith, he pointed out to Inspector Morton. The officer said, I arrest you on the charge of the murder of one Victor Savage. So on this, the inspector said, so you are charged for the murder of Victor Savage and for that I am arresting you. This is what Inspector Morton told Culverton Smith. And you might add the attempted murder of one Sherlock Holmes. Holmes remarked my friend with a chuckle. Mr. Smith was good enough to give a signal by turning up the gas. By the way, the prisoner has a small box in the right hand pocket of his coat which might play a part in a trial. And he says, you might add the attempted murder of one Sherlock Holmes remarked my friend. Okay, so you might add the attempted, you have attempted murder of Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes, you have attempted the murder to kill Sherlock Holmes. Remark my friend with a chuckle. So this he said with a laughter. Mr. Smith was good enough to give a signal by turning up the gas. So what was the signal given over here? Turning up the gas. By turning the gas, they have signaled. Okay. So who turned off? Mr. Smith turned off the gas. So that was a signal given to Inspector Morton to enter inside. That's how Inspector Morton came inside. Fine. So this is how it happened. By the way, the prisoner has a small box in the right hand pocket of his coat which might play a part in the trial. So he is having a small in his right hand pocket, he says. Okay, what is having the prisoner, that is Culverton Smith, is having in his coat a small box, he says. A small box is there in Culverton Smith's pocket. This is what he says. A nice trap. So this was a trap placed by Holmes, right? Placed by Holmes. A nice trap, cried the high, snarling voice. He asked me to come here to cure him. Now he will pretend, no doubt, that I have said anything which he may invent. So it was a nice trap, cried the high, snarling voice. He asked me to come here to cure him. So he asked me to come here to cure him. So who's saying this? Culverton Smith. This is a nice trap. He asked me to come here to cure him. And now he is pretending, no doubt, that I have said anything which he may invent. This is what he says. Anyways, he's a prisoner. He's trying to escape from it, from his crime, whatever he has done. Culverton Smith. Good heavens, cried Holmes. I had totally forgotten him. My dear Watson, I owe you 1,000 apologies to think that I should have overlooked you. I need not introduce you to Mr. Smith. Since you have met earlier in the evening, Officer Morton took Mr. Smith to the police station. Okay. So, good heavens, he says. Then he's calling out to Dr. Watson. I totally forgot about you, he says. My dear Watson, I owe you 1,000 apologies. Okay. So, I really thank you for it because you have done the work, isn't it? To think that I should have overlooked you. I need not introduce you to Mr. Smith, and there is no need for you. You don't need any introduction to Mr. Smith because you already met Mr. Smith in the evening. This is what he says. And then Officer Morton took Mr. Smith to the police station, and Mr. Smith was taken to the police station by the Inspector Morton. Okay. As Holmes sat down with a tired look, I asked how he had transformed his appearance so dramatically. 3 days of absolute fast does not improve one's beauty, Watson. When we have finished at the police station, I think that something nutritious at Simpson's restaurant would not be out of place. So this is how. So Watson, after getting all the things sought out, Watson asks slowly. He's asking his friend over here. Holmes is asking, how did you manage to play such a drama over here? How did you manage to be? How were you so? How did you dramatize all these things? How did you appear in a dramatic way? All these things he started asking him. On this, he says that it's nothing, it's not a big thing. Just for 3 days, he went for absolute fasting. He didn't eat anything, nor did he drink anything. So, absolute fasting. This made him lose all his charm, his looks. Okay, it made him look dull, sick, isn't it? As if he was dying, right? So, after all these things, after getting everything done in the police station, he says that we will go to Simpson's restaurant. So he promises Dr. Watson that we'll move to Simpson's restaurant, wherein we could have something very nutritious, isn't it? Because for 3 days he didn't eat anything, nor did he drink anything. That is how the Dime detective solved the case of Victor Savage, right? So this was the technique what he used to win this game, right? To punish the culprit, right? So like that, Culverton Smith was punished by Holmes, Sherlock Holmes. So with that, we complete the lesson over here. So I have done with